get focused. Avoid distractions and fulfill your assignment. Don't ever let the enemy tell you it's too late, you're not qualified, you don't have the right connections, or you're too old. It's never too late to do what God has put in your heart to do. I want to take a quick moment to thank our partners who make this podcast possible. People just like you who believe in inspiring dreams and helping others fulfill the vision God's placed in their hearts. Through your support, we're reaching people around the world and creating life-changing courses and resources designed to help you discover your purpose, grow your faith, and pursue your dreams with confidence. So if you'd like to become a partner or learn more about our courses and resources, visit terry.com. I want to share something really personal with you today. 10 powerful lessons I learned from my year that will save you time, stress, and heartache and set you up to have a successful year in 2026. And your free download is this 10-step checklist so you can refer to it. So let's get started. The first one might surprise you. Okay, number 1 is to capture memories in pictures. Let me explain. Jim Rohn actually said taking lots of pictures is one of the 3 legacies you leave behind for future generations. The other 2, he said, are your library and your personal journals. The reason I'm telling you this is because I never dreamed when I celebrated my dad's 77th birthday, the cake with the 77 candles would be his last birthday. I cherish these photos. I never thought, when I met my parents at P.F. Chang's for a casual lunch on a Saturday, would be the last time I would ever see my precious daddy alive. But you know what? I'm so glad I took pictures that day at P.F. Chang's and video. Same with my husband's father. He was in the hospital and I just took one picture of him in the hospital. It was the last photo of him ever taken. Well, Jim Rohn said, don't be lazy in capturing the event. He said, how long does it take to capture the event? A fraction of a second. How long does it take to miss the event? Fraction of a second. So don't miss the pictures because when you're gone, they'll keep the memories alive. Okay, I know that was serious. Number 2 is compile a list of all personal information. Now, everyone says to do this, but most people don't. In fact, I met with a very successful entrepreneur. I was speaking at his conference, and at lunch, he was telling me about a mentor that he hired for $25,000. And he said his first meeting with him, he gave him an assignment. He said, I want you to create a notes page on your phone and list everything. Real estate owned, bank accounts with account numbers, name of the bank, the phone number to the bank, bills with account numbers. He said, actually while we're at lunch, he showed me his list and he said, this right here gives me so much peace for my wife and my family. He said, if anything happened, they know exactly where to look to get answers. Well, my point is making a list of all your assets, your accounts, your debts, and putting them in one file will be a huge blessing to your family when you're gone. Your birth certificate, marriage license, passport, put it all in one safe and tell your spouse or your heirs the combination. Make it one of your top 10 goals for the new year and really do it. Oh, and I put a link to the one that I use in your free download in case you're wondering which one to get. It's included with this entire checklist. So you can click the link in the show notes and get that. This is the one that I use. Okay, number 3 is choose to declutter your stuff. Declutter. I wrote a whole book about this, but when someone you love unexpectedly passes away and they had no intentions of dying, you go through everything. People will go through your dresser drawers, your bathroom drawers, your purses with stuff still in them, your luggage that was never emptied, your file cabinets, your credit card statements. You don't get to say, hey, let me get all this in order and then I'll go to heaven. No, you don't know when it's going to happen. When my precious dad went to heaven, we came back from California after realizing he had passed. After he preached in California, we walked into my dad's room at the house and he had 3 suitcases packed and ready for his next trips. He had bills on his desk that he intended to pay when he got home. He never dreamed in a million years that he would be gone and we would be the ones going through his credit card statements. I'm just saying, it was a year that made me wake up and realize this checklist, how important it is. Declutter your stuff now, because the bottom line is, your family will be the ones to go through every single thing that you own. In fact, I keep telling my husband, Rodney, I don't want to put that junk up in the attic that we will never look at, because Cassidy will have to deal with this when we're gone. So set a goal to declutter. And I wanted to add this part too. Live a life of integrity. You know, I'm so grateful that my dad was the same person behind the scenes as he was in front of a crowd. We didn't discover anything inappropriate, a double life, lies, deceptions, secret text messages. Keep in mind, your family will go through your phone when you're gone. They'll read all your text messages, play voicemails, look at your photos. It was so comforting to see that Daddy lived a life of integrity. He had little screenshots of all of our photos on Instagram. I thought that was really cute. Okay, number 4 is to cherish experiences over buying stuff. Now, this has become even bigger for me this year. We went to my dad's house and we cleaned out his closets, and I'm a lot like my daddy. He loved to shop. He loved clothes, shoes, bags a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it was so heartbreaking to just see stuff piled into a box and labeled, you know, shoes, and then taken to a warehouse, box after box. And that's just reality. That's life for all of us. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying stop buying shoes. That's like me saying stop wearing mascara. I would never let those words come out of my mouth. But what I am saying is value making memories over collecting memorabilia. Take your family or friends on a trip that you normally wouldn't take, instead of using all that money on outfits. For example, we took my mom to New York City last Thanksgiving because it was our first holiday without Daddy. And we wanted something different. And it wasn't cheap, but now I look at life so differently. My little mom is 77 now, and I don't know how much time I get with her. So I want to make time with her as much as possible and take her on trips while she's still youthful and active. Same with me and Cassidy. I've been doing things I normally wouldn't do, going to basketball games, to watch the Dallas Mavs, investing money in experiences because I'll cherish them forever over buying a designer purse that's going to sit on a shelf most of the time. Okay, now I know there's balance in all this. Okay, number 5 is care about saving money more than spending money. I know I just told you to take some trips, but save money too. I cannot stress this enough, especially when someone you love passes away. If you've been wise with your money, your family will be blessed in the middle of the hardest season of their lives. Don't spend everything you earn. You know, I was telling my nephew, Bryn, who is only 20 years old, I said, please, please, please set a goal to save $3,000, and then let me help you open an investment account with that money. I said, when your old aunt is rejoicing in heaven and you're like 60 years old, you will have over $1 million just from that $3,000 that we invested. You'll be saying, oh, I thank God my old Aunt Terry set me up to be wealthy. Now, I wish I had known this when I was 19 or 20 years old. Invest, invest, invest. You know, I read a book about this, and I made a firm decision to not be casual about saving and investing anymore. So I started investing a little bit each month, and it's grown and grown and grown. And I was like 40 when I learned this, okay? But my contribution has grown and set me up. Oh, and real quick, I put a link to the book that I read that taught me this. That's in your free download too, because I refer to it so many times and I've passed it on to so many people. But I put that $3,000 into account for Cassidy. And honestly, we forgot about it because she has other accounts that she checks all the time. Well, last month she said, Mom, what is this $14,000 in an account with my name? I said, oh my gosh, Cass, that's the $3,000 I put in there just a few years ago and we never touched. It's grown to $14,000 without doing a thing. Make this one of your top 10 goals for the new year. Don't ever think that small progress is no progress. It's better to save something small than save nothing at all. So start where you are. If you save $20 a week, that's over $1,000 a year. And most Americans do not have $1,000. And when you die, don't you want your family to say, what? Mom invested that much money? Okay, number 5 is to check your health regularly, every single year. Check your health yearly. I'm not going to say a lot about this, but please, please, please do not neglect your health by avoiding yearly checkups. I honestly believe my little dad would be here today if he had gone to get his arteries cleaned out. But you can avoid or prevent something serious just by getting it checked early. Do it around your birthday so you remember when you did it. Schedule it on your big calendar because what gets scheduled gets done. And scheduling things on your calendar, it's not about getting more things done, it's about getting the right things done. Okay, number 7 is challenge yourself with coaching. Now, this has been a huge life lesson for me in the past couple of years. I read books all the time. I listen to podcasts every single day. I go to conferences to learn and grow. But last year, I put a demand on myself to invest money in mentorship. And it has caused so much growth in me and in my life and in this ministry. I cannot put a price on what it has done. In fact, one mentor, I invested $25,000 for one full day of coaching. Plus, I get some calls with her. I've never invested that much money in mentorship. Well, I applied what I learned from her. You ready for this? Within a couple weeks, it produced $93,000. The more you pay attention, right? Well, I have coaching for those, who are interested. We have a coaching program and we open enrollment at certain times. But I want to challenge you to get around some people who are at least 7 to 10 steps ahead of you that you can learn from. See, what brought you here will keep you here. And if you want to go to a new level, you must be stretched by people who are doing a little better than you. So whether it's our coaching program or someone else's, you need coaching. Because like I said, what you've learned up to now has brought you to this moment. They say if you want to grow faster, hire a master, right? Okay, number 8, hope you're enjoying this. These were major life lessons for me in a year. Number 8 is to contribute generously. At one of my mentorship sessions with John Maxwell last year, he said this. He said, every year I raise my standard in my giving. He said, don't miss this. And I was actually taking notes. He said, don't miss this. So we all looked up. He said, you need to be passionate about something that isn't yours. Think about that. You need to be passionate about something that isn't yours. He said, this is the stabilizer for success. It's generosity. Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, I watched my dad and mom give and give and give. We literally gave our way out of poverty. Giving is so ingrained in me, you don't have to beg me to give. I know God always honors generosity. Well, when my dad unexpectedly passed away, after we flew home from California from seeing Dad, and we were all just numb, just trying to comprehend what just happened. We were sitting upstairs in Mom's room, all of us, just staring, crying, hurting. And then someone picked up Daddy's phone that was given to us at the morgue. And we looked at the very last text that my dad sent, which was about 30 minutes before he went to heaven. And this is what it said. It was to his CFO at his ministry who runs his finances. He said, I want you to sow a financial seed, and he gave the amount, and pay off their hospital bills, and I want you to send it overnight. Think about that. His final act on earth was giving, blessing, sowing seed. And you know his ministry is experiencing the greatest financial harvest they have ever received while Daddy's in heaven. My dad sowed the seed, and today they're reaping the harvest. See, you cannot outgive God. Not only that, but Daddy personally supported so many widows for decades. I told my mom, I said, Mama, he sowed that for you. He set you up. You are going to be so well taken care of. Well, my mom has received more blessings than she ever has in her entire life. Be a giver. Okay, number 9 is change the atmosphere with praise. I've known for years that praise is powerful, and it is such a slap in the devil's face. I've known about the sacrifice of praise. It's a sacrifice because you don't want to do it. Well, right after Dad passed away, 1 month later, I had surgery on my face where I had skin cancer years ago. Something went wrong and my face was paralyzed on the left side. Well, one day in particular, sadness and just overwhelming grief just hit me. I was at home recovering, and I was laying in bed, and my mind was just picturing my little dad, and I was just bawling and bawling. And my daughter came home for lunch, and she said, "Mama, you're going to have to do what you tell others to do." She said, "You've got to get a vision of you healed and restored. Get a picture of you smiling again," because I couldn't even move the left side of my face. And she said, "And thank God before it manifests." Well, suddenly it dawned on me that I was given one of my dad's suit jackets that he wore 2 days before he went to heaven. He preached in it. And I saw it in my closet. And instead of crying, I decided I was going to put his little suit on like I was putting on the garment of praise. It makes me cry. For the spirit of heaviness. With nobody at home, I put that little suit on and I walked around my house with the garment, lifting my hands with tears just pouring down my face. And I was praising God for getting 54 years with the sweetest dad in the world. I thanked God that He taught me how to live by faith. I praised God ahead of time that my face was healed and my smile was restored. Oh, it's making me cry today. But I remember a pastor sharing an illustration about how praise literally silences the devil, and it's like putting him on a dog leash. It restrains him. It's kind of like years ago I had a little Pomeranian, and we were at a park, and all of a sudden this Rottweiler saw my Pomeranian and was charging at us like he was going to tear him up. Well, all of a sudden the owner had this leash on him, and he pushed a button, and that leash just went so far, and then it put a restraint on him. And it pulled him back, and he sat on his side, and he just kind of looked at my little dog like, "I'd come at you if I could, but I can't because I'm restrained." Well, see, this is exactly what happens in the spirit realm when you praise God in the midnight hour, when you don't want to do it. And you know, that's what I was doing when I was walking around my house with the garment of praise. Sadness lifted, the grief left, and my smile is fully restored. I'm telling you, praise is a weapon. You got it? Okay, sorry, I'm emotional. Number 10 is commit to fulfill your assignment. You know, my favorite scripture is John 17:4. And it says, "I glorified you on earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do." I want you to know God is going to hold you accountable for what He's called you to do. You know, today I look at my dad today on YouTube, or I glance over and I see his books on my bookshelf, and I think, he fulfilled his assignment. And that's it. Your time here is over. So I just want to encourage you to get focused, avoid distractions, and fulfill your assignment. Don't ever let the enemy tell you it's too late, you're not qualified, you don't have the right connections, or you're too old. My mom just turned 77, and she thought she was just going to enjoy being a great-grandmother. Now she's the president of JSMI, traveling, ministering, doing TV programs. It's never too late to do what God has put in your heart to do. So I would love for you to have this checklist as a reminder, and get the links to get your copy of your organizing, this system that I use for organizing your personal affairs, getting your money in order, the book that I recommend. It's all in the free download this week. So click the link in the show notes, and I really believe this is going to set you up for a successful new year. Thanks for being with me, and remember, I am cheering you on to live your dreams.